Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of My Tummy Hurts. I am your host, Shannon Chan Kent, and today we have one of my best friends on here, Carly Chatten.
Hello.
I've been
Hello.
so excited to have Carly on. Yeah, you're not only are you such a good friend of mine, you have been through so much and you are on the other side. And yeah, thank you for being here, Car.
Excited to be here. As everyone usually says, this is such an and I love the podcast so far. It's just so exciting to have a friend elaborate more on, these autoimmune conditions or whatever's making your tummy hurt. So I'm
Yeah,
really honored to be here.
good. Well, for those of you who don't know Carly, Carly and we've been friends for how many years now? Like over 10?
At least like 18.
Yeah. It's like almost 20.
We're older. We're older.
And yeah, we bonded over possibly, I think we got closer when you started to get your diagnosis or when you were going through some of your health stuff. So before we get into that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you right now? What do you do for a living?
Sure thing. Yeah. So I live and work out of Squamish and Vancouver.
Mhm.
I reside in Squamish, BC, in Canada, and I handle events and weddings at my family restaurant, which I love to do. I love working with brides and grooms every day and just event coordinators in the corporate scene. And then, I don't know, I do a bunch of little things also, like the Instagram, social media. I handle the flowers at the restaurant. I meet up with the interior decorators so that we can do updates. So I kind of have my hands in many different aspects,
Yeah.
but that is my day to day.
Okay. And you're also a mom. You're also a mom.
Mom, I'm a mom of one,
Hmm.
and my daughter is in kindergarten now. And yeah, I'm married and living the sea to sky life.
Yes. Okay. Amazing. Well, the reason why I wanted Carly on was because Carly has dealt with MS, and she has the most incredible story from when she first got sick to now being on the other side. And let's just dive in.
Sure, yeah.
Ready? Okay. So, do you remember the first time you kind of felt these symptoms? And did you even clock that they were alarming or different from how you felt day to day?
So, yes and no. I actually first got my symptoms after doing a mat Pilates class at Y Yoga. We were rolling on small medicine balls,
Mhm.
and I distinctly remember like rolling in my glutes and like letting out all the muscles and that sort of thing. And afterwards, I walked away with really numb and tingling throughout my like glute and lower torso area. And that moved down my leg and into my foot.
Hmm.
And at first, I was like, oh, like I pinched a nerve, or you don't really go to the worst case scenario. Also, there's no MS in my family history. Maybe someone like a great, great, great uncle is what I've kind of come to maybe realize through talking to my family. But otherwise, no one really close to me has an autoimmune condition like this. Most of my family had like history of cancer or but yeah, no MS. And so my head didn't go there. I just assumed it was a workout injury. But it wasn't until the numbness kind of jumped from one foot to the other before going back up the other leg that I was like, this is very odd. And this might be something more. So I had some trips to the emergency room. I was sent home with like Tylenol Advil.
Did all of
And I
like
went
your blood work come clean? Like, when you go to the ER and they're like, you're fine, go
There
home.
was no blood work done. They just
Okay.
assumed I had a workout injury as well.
Okay.
Um, they just kind of sent me on my way just based on the symptoms I was describing. And yeah, I didn't do blood work for a while. I
Hmm.
also got rid of my doctor at that time. I was like
Okay.
really pissed. with my doctor in her handling of what I was feeling. And honestly, my mom and dad and I went to Google, and that's really where we were like sending back and forth like links to Health Medic MD or whatever online, like,
Yeah.
hey, like these are the symptoms I'm having. Like, this could not be. Like, I don't have MS, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
no way, but
Yeah.
this is what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So right there, I started really getting stressed out
Hmm.
when we kind of just started relating everything I was feeling to what I was reading about online. And that's when I went to doctors and kind of started trying to figure out exactly what my diagnosis was.
Okay. And did
Yeah.
those symptoms during that time, that duration of when you had first felt the numbness to it jumping in different places, did it start to progressively change or get worse as time went on before you ended up getting your diagnosis?
That's going way back because I've
Yeah.
had the disease for like at least a decade. But from my memory, the moving of numbness and tingling throughout the lower portion of my body remained with me up
Okay.
until I finally was able to see an actual doctor that could figure out my diagnosis. But unfortunately, even though our medical system here is amazing,
Mm-hmm.
I had to go through some hoops with my uncle, who was a doctor in Victoria. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't actually see a neurologist to start, but in order to actually get my diagnosis, I had a spinal tap, and that's what confirmed my diagnosis. But really, the numbness and tingling just remained. And that's what I've come to learn about MS is these relapses is like you get a relapse and it's with you. It can be with you for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It can be with you a year. Eventually, you get better if you have relapsing remitting MS. But that's always obviously the hope that you get better after
Yeah.
each relapse, but not always do you get like back to 100%.
Okay. Now, for those who don't know, because I don't know much about MS, even going through it, with you, um, can you explain to everyone what it is exactly?
Yeah, it's an autoimmune condition. So it's a part of that family where the body attacks the healthy parts inside your body that it shouldn't be. So MS, multiple sclerosis, attacks the myelin sheath. Of your nerves in your central nervous system. So mainly in your brain and then in your spine as well. So I've had a lot of myelin attacks, specifically in my spine, and a couple spots in my brain. But yeah, that's kind of the best definition I can give of MS.
Okay. And do you know what would be root cause or how someone as young as you were? I feel like the more because of my own journey and because I'm always like trying to find out new things, I'm seeing so many more people, younger people, who are being diagnosed with it. And do you
Yeah.
know what that root cause might be, or your hunch in your case, what that root cause might have been?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could answer
I know.
that
I
question
know.
clearly, but it's so hard. Root cause is so hard. I'm not a medical professional. So, you know, we are seeing more and more young people become more open about their diagnosis, but we also have seen like a huge change in technology. And so you can go online and you can find so many people who may have diagnosis just like yours. Whereas, 10, 20 years ago, that wasn't really possible. So, 10 years ago, when I was trying to figure out that root cause, I was all over the place because there was quite a few books written about MS, a few websites that I could find, and then, of course, all of my neurologists.
Mhm.
Neurologists couldn't give me a root cause. Um, but I started to focus more on like the gut and candida and parasites, and kind of how that related to something like MS. Since my time kind of trying to figure out the root cause. I've seen EBV, Epstein-Barr virus, being linked to MS.
Mhm.
Um, there's been quite a few studies now about how like 100% of patients with MS have had EBV. Some people who have EBV don't necessarily have MS, and so how do you make that connection fully? But I've seen that come up. But yeah, those are the main ones that I've really looked into, but it's really hard to say because they really can't find a cure. And so without a root cause, I don't know
Right,
how you could ever make a cure for something like an autoimmune disease.
right, of course.
Sorry, can we pause?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I have to plug in my computer.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. Okay, I'll pause. Okay, great. Right, of course. And yes, root cause. I feel like root cause is going to be different for everyone, depending on your toxin overload or your emotional environment, your physical environment, your diet. So it's so hard when I'm like, what do you think root cause is? But I thought maybe you would have a hunch for you, but I feel, you know,
No,
it's
I
hard to
mean, I
figure
think
it out.
because I tried it all, I tried a
Yeah.
lot of things at the beginning, and nothing was really working until I did my treatment. And
Okay.
so it's really hard to nail down exactly like what even the root cause would have been for me. But there's definitely something genetic with MS.
Yeah. Okay.
Something was happening in my body when I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
I have thoughts like, did I party too hard? And, I thought I was invincible until I got my diagnosis. So like, was the lack of sleep, I would go to work at 4 a.m. when I worked for Aritzia in customer care because there wasn't an Eastern office yet.
Yeah.
And then I would get off work at 1. I would like have the rest of my day and sometimes I would go out. So what, I'm getting like 2 hours of sleep between my
Hmm.
life and my shift.
Yeah.
So I really played hard. And so, for me, sometimes I look back and I'm like, damn, do I regret the way that I really handled my life, in my teens and early 20s, but I just had such a good time
No,
that I
yeah.
can't regret it.
No,
Yeah.
and I think it's dangerous to start that like guilt shame cycle of being like that regret cycle
Mhm.
because there's obviously you weren't partying or having a good time by yourself. You were doing it with other people and they didn't have an MS diagnosis. You know what I mean? So, and everyone's constitution is different, of course, but yeah, no. You were a flitty little fairy having a good
Enjoying my
time.
time. Yes.
Exactly.
Then I got smacked in the face, and I definitely started realizing I was not invincible and something had to change. So, it was definitely a 180 complete life
Yeah.
takeover of from a day before my diagnosis versus a day after.
So
Yeah.
once you got that diagnosis,
Mhm.
what was your first kind of thought? Were you like, all right, were you really pragmatic when you got it? Obviously emotional as well. Yeah, how did you handle that?
Yeah, what's interesting is like I've been told that you have to have, relapse and either a spinal tap or first MRI and then a second MRI to get your official diagnosis. So it actually took me time to get my full
Mm.
diagnosis like clinically on paper because like I said, I went to Victoria and had some tests done and then I had the spinal tap done, which was uh,
Ugh.
super unfortunate. And that's really when I found out about my diagnosis. I was like lying in a chair after my spinal tap, and they told me the results like kind of right away. And I was with my mom, and yeah, it
They
was
can
like,
tell right away after your spinal
I
tap?
mean,
That's crazy.
it was like, it was pretty evident to them. And I was still feeling those symptoms I was feeling. And ultimately, it was just like, I felt out of body, like
Yeah.
even now I can like look back at the scenario with my mom, like us holding hands and just being like, just so shocked, but not shocked.
Mhm.
Um, sometimes when you get a diagnosis, you feel like, yes, finally, like I have a diagnosis. I know
Yeah.
what I have. Like I didn't have that at all at
Yeah.
that time. Um, but I will say after like a hard 24 to 48 hours, I just set my mind to figuring out the disease. And I was told like there would be like 2 to 3 months before I could actually see a professional about it.
Mm.
And so I didn't just like sit back and wait
Mhm.
and live every day like it was normal. I went to Chapters, which is a bookstore here in Vancouver, and I found a book about MS from a woman named Anne Broke. And that's what really started my
Right.
healthy living lifestyle change. And she is or she was, she's passed away now, but she was a naturopath based out of LA. And she became my naturopath. After reading her book within a weekend, I was like, Candida lifestyle, like the link to MS with parasites, like I believe it. And I would say I was pretty pragmatic. Like I just, with the help of my parents, I just kind of like took the bull by the reins, if that's what you like to say, and I just tried to take my health into my own hands because I had to wait anyways to see a professional. I didn't want to just like go back to my normal lifestyle. I wanted to make a change right away, and this was at least giving me hope,
Yeah.
which I found was just like integral to my journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did
Yeah.
you find when you made those changes in your lifestyle, did you notice any detox? Did you notice you felt any different? Did it help take your symptoms down?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I believed it. Um, and, by the time I had met with the neurologists, a few months later, I was already like well into my elimination diet. I
Mhm.
had done like a detox diet. I was well out of sugar. I quit sugar, yeast, soy,
I know you were
alcohol,
amazing.
gluten, dairy. I mean, all the things you probably kicked too. Like I
Yeah.
kicked it all.
Yeah.
And I was probably the healthiest I've ever been for 4 years while I did that way of living and eating. Healthiest is in like my gut and like
Yeah.
that whole thing, but not with MS, obviously. Um, but yeah, like I just by the time then I met with the neurologist, I was just convinced that there had to be another way to heal.
Yeah.
I had looked even into another woman named Terry Walls, who also has MS and another form of healthy living with MS. So I looked into her. George Jelinek is another resource, and a whole other diet based more on like saturated fats. So I also
Mm.
took what he had to say into consideration. So I really just started doing my research about it, and I just kind of went to them and I was like, if you can't tell me that this particular drug is for me and
Mhm.
for me only,
Mhm.
um, then I'm going to continue the route I'm going because I was just feeling so good.
Yeah.
I definitely was still relapsing,
Mhm.
but I was always coming back to full. So even though I was relapsing once, maybe two times a year, I was always able to recover. And I just took up yoga. Um, I wasn't really able to run. I did do obviously heavy walking and stuff,
Mhm.
but yeah, I didn't love that, the neurologists were like, here are 5 drugs. You can either inject yourself, but if you can't take needles, then you can take a pill. If you
Yeah.
can't do that, then we can inject you at a clinic. And I just was like, are these all just going to cover my symptoms and not actually help me get better?
Yeah.
So I just kind of, and this was my own personal journey, I just tried to heal with healthy lifestyle first.
And then when did you get to the point where you were like, okay, this isn't cutting it? I need to find a different solution. That isn't what your neurologists were saying.
Totally. It took me a while. It took
Yeah.
me a few years, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, I guess 4 years, to continuously be having relapses. So I was probably doing damage to my body, unfortunately. The autoimmune disease was still attacking my myelin. I would keep having MRIs. I would keep having spots and everything on my MRI showing the lesions, they call it. Sorry, lesions. And at that point, I had been working really hard, just like in career, and I was feeling really good, but I had a really stressful situation happen in my life. Um, to which point I lost vision in my left eye, 95% of my vision. well, sorry, I lost 100% of my vision in my left eye. I was able to recover about 95% of it over time. But yeah, that relapse was kind of life-changing because at that point, I had already looked into what HSCT is, which is a hematopoietic stem cell therapy. And they were treating MS patients. There was a woman in Australia that was really vocal about it, and I was following her journey. And I had joined some Facebook groups, and I was like, look, like, I said to myself when I started reading about it, like throughout the years, I was like, if for some reason nothing ever works that I'm doing, like this is what I want to do, kind of in the back of my mind. And yeah, when I lost my vision, I took EI, disability EI, left my job and took a few months to recover, wore an eye patch out because
Mhm.
obviously it was really weird, discombobulating to not have vision and try to look out. I would look at a screen, like I would look at you right now, and it would be black, but I could see everything else around it. It was so trippy,
So crazy.
which is why I had to wear an eye patch, just because like it would slowly come back, but it would come back spotty. So yeah, at that point, I didn't even tell my parents or anyone, and I just applied for HSCT in Russia just to see how long of a wait it would be, and I got a reply that I could be there in 8 months. And so I brought it to the table. It does cost a pretty penny, but I was fortunate enough to be able to afford it, and I signed up, and that's what got me to my treatment.
I
Yeah.
I'm like the courage and like also I would say having known you for now almost 20 years, like I feel like your intuition doesn't really lead you astray. I feel like at least for me, I feel like I'm always like, well, maybe that and maybe that's like the Libra in me. I'm always like, oh, I don't know. I need someone else's opinion. Should I do this? Should I do this? And I feel like you're really pragmatic.
Yeah.
And
I
you,
make a decision and I kind
yes,
of just go with it.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, I mean, something must have been telling you, all right, this is it. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. I kind of jump 2 feet in once I've made a decision, for
Yes,
sure.
yes,
Like it may take me a while to get to that
yes,
decision. I may like be like, I don't like options. Like, and that's probably why I didn't like the options that the neurologist played for me. It was
yeah,
like, oh, you guys know my disease. You are the expert.
yeah,
You choose for me. I
yeah,
shouldn't be making this decision. And so yeah, like once I had made the decision, it was HSCT. It was HSCT or bust. Truly, like there was no going back. I was actually excited, even though it was frightening. It was
yes,
like, I am doing this, and like, I just believed in it. I feel like and I don't know if you feel the same, but like the MS community, for me personally, like, I found that when the neurologists were like, oh, you should go and join this group, or, there's a great group that gets together in person and you could go and share your story and how you're feeling.
hmm
And I took part. I did it.
hmm
I actually went to the groups, the self-help groups, and I found it really, really depressing. I'm not gonna lie. I felt like from the beginning, I was just not that I didn't want to believe my diagnosis. I fully believed it. I was living it. This was what the rest of my life was going to be. But it was more like I didn't want to believe that I couldn't do everything that in my power, everything that I could do in order to help make myself better.
yeah,
And so going to those groups were really hard because I felt like some people just didn't have the same mindset as me. And
yeah,
so I stopped going to those and I started joining online face groups where people were doing the same things that I was doing. And so I found that that really helped. Like once I shifted who I was speaking to in the community, then I was able to find like-minded people and it really helped me on my trajectory
hmm
and take risks. I reached out to so many people who had done HSCT before me via Facebook and we're still friends and we still update each other on how we're doing. And they were really the leaders that I looked up to that helped me make my final decision. And personal experience, I mean, we have TikTok and Instagram that's just, they're so popular for a reason because you
yeah,
can go and see personal experience with
yeah,
things, not just medical things, but like if you want to get Botox or if you want to try this diet or if you want to go to this coffee shop.
yeah,
So personal experience does go a long way. And it's a personal journey. But yeah, that positive community with the same positive outlook on healing was essential as well, for
For
sure.
sure. My functional doctor's like, get off all the Lyme Facebook pages, get off the dysautonomia. And like, she was
Yeah.
right. There is so much fear mongering too. And also, people who I think you and I are like minded in a way of being like, we are optimistic. We are joyful people at heart. Not saying other people aren't, you know, I still believe that there is healing for me.
Mhm.
Not that I don't believe my diagnosis,
Yeah.
but I believe that this won't be my life forever. And so to stay in that mind, and especially when you are symptomatic and you've lost 100% of your sight and you're told that it'll never come back, it's like, especially when you're already fighting those fears, they don't need to be solidified by other people online, you know?
1000%. And I'm so happy to hear you say that because I just think like, and again, yes, we are like-minded. And yes, we've been low together. And
Yes.
I've heard your lows, you've heard my lows, we've seen
Yes.
each other's lows. But I think like to utilize each other in regards to positive healing is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
And as we know, we've got people we can vent to, and then people we come to that's like, hey, help me out with this and
Yeah.
let's move forward.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so you get to Russia.
yeah.
You're with both your parents. Are you both your parents with you? Okay. And you start doing chemotherapy, right?
Yeah, so it's a process. Do you want
Yes.
me to go
Yes, please.
a little?
I think this is so, yes, I want you to
Okay.
walk us through it all.
Okay, so I did go with my parents. My brother showed up halfway through
Great.
to help take me home. But it was, I mean, it was such a cool experience. When else would I have ever gone to Russia,
Yeah.
Moscow? Obviously, there's been so much devastation that has happened with Russia and Ukraine lately.
Hmm.
Um, but when I went, it was safe. We could travel there directly through Hong Kong. It was a long flight. But I got to explore a little bit of Russia and see the sights, and that was insane and something I probably will never do again. So that was really cool. And the hospital was insane too. It's like armed guards, fully, it was like a castle, it's like you can only go in this one area. You had to go through like the airport security style. They've got guns. They've to sign you in and out. It was like full blown. So it was it was a very intense experience that way. But the treatment was 30 days. I was 30 years old. And when I was there was actually a couple other young girls there, 18, crazy, and mid 20s. They're doing the same thing. So we had HSCT, which is hematopoietic stem cell therapy. So it's different than AHSCT, sorry, which is autologous, if I'm not,
Okay.
I might be pronouncing it wrong. But essentially the difference is the autologous one, the AHSCT, uses other people's stem cells. The HSCT, which I did, uses your
Mm,
own stem cells.
okay.
So the treatment was 30 days. There was really intense pre-testing, lots of MRIs, all types of checking on all of your system because yes, you're going through stem cell taking, you're going through chemotherapy, and you're going through like a really intense, like 10 days in isolation. So they had to just do all the ultrasounds, all the checks on all your organs. And then you kind of get the red light or the green light. I got the green light, and it wasn't a surprise, but the doctor there said after all of my testing, he said, like you probably will not be walking in 1 to 2 years if you didn't come and see me. And I had been told that from the neurologists in
Wow.
BC as well. So I always knew that the way that MS was attacking my myelin was always in my spine and attached to my legs. And most of my symptoms honestly affected my legs, besides the eye. Like I got some symptoms like MS hug, which is like in your stomach area and stuff, like some bowel stuff, but like it all recovered and mainly my symptoms were in my legs. So I wasn't surprised.
Hmm.
But it only reaffirmed the reason why I was there, to go big or go home. So I got the green light, and yeah, they start. It's kind of hard to remember everything, but there was a lot of drugs.
Mm.
given to me, an IV. I got a PICC line infused because there was just so many drugs and treatments going in and out to get my body ready for those first 10 days. And during that time, I was able to like go out and explore. I even had the PICC line. I was like, should I go to a concert in Russia? Weird because I've got like a PICC line. Like I probably couldn't go into like the front and center where a lot of people are bumping into me, but like I actually considered doing that. So good thing then they at 10 days in, they're like, you have to stay on the compound. Because that's when we started taking the stem cells. I had to do 2 days. Some people only have to sit for 8 hours straight in one position for one day if they can get
Mm.
enough stem cells. But unfortunately, I had to do 2 days, which was fine. I mean, you get through it. And they take the blood out and then they spin it to get your plasma stem cells all separated. Then they like flash freeze them. So right away they're frozen and they're put and saved for you because then you go. First thing that they do is they want you to shave your head because you're going to lose all your hair anyways. So it's like kind of this ceremony thing. They're like, you can do it, or the nurses can do it. And because I was there with those two other girls around the same age as me, we kind of became buddies and supports for one another. And we all did it together, which was really amazing to kind of have that.
Mm.
I just went alone, didn't really expect that I would, come out of it making friends
Yeah.
that we're still in contact today. But yeah, after that, then we did chemo. So it was a few
So
days of
wait,
chemo.
stem cells first, then chemo.
Well, well, they have to take the stem cells out
Okay,
first.
got it.
Yes. So first it was like you still have all your hair, you've not done like you've done other drugs and like anti-inflammatories and other things to get your body ready to even take stem cells out of your body.
Hmm.
But yeah, you don't do chemotherapy until your stem cells are out and frozen. So they
Got it.
want to make sure that you can get enough stem cells. So we did that. Then they hook you up to the IVs for a couple days of the chemotherapy, and that was intense. And essentially after that, um, you are given a different room and they infuse your stem cells back into your body. So they're wiping your body clean with that chemotherapy, essentially. It's pretty intense, lots of steroids, all of that. I handled it actually pretty well. From what I remember, I didn't get an infection. I just had one day of like a fever overnight, but they gave me antibiotics and that was dealt with and that was that. Otherwise, I tolerated everything really well. But yeah, after the chemo, then they infuse your stem cells back, which is a crazy feeling. I don't know how to explain it. I don't think I will try to. But I do have a video of it and I
Is
was
it through a
smiling.
pick line? Is it through your pick line?
Yes, it's through a pick line. Yes. And like, like they held up the frozen stem cell bag and like obviously Dr. Fedorenko drops it and it's like, oh
Oh,
my God, is it gonna shatter? Like, no, no. Like all the worst things go through your head and thank God everything was okay. It wasn't shattered, but obviously it's like glass.
yeah. Oh.
So, anyways, that happened. That was funny. And it lightens the mood, of a very serious situation. At least it lightens the mood. But yeah, then they have to reinfuse you so fast. Like
Okay.
once the stem cells are thawed, it's like you have to go, 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 go. So like if you're feeling weird, you have to say it right away and they'll infuse you with other drugs. Honestly, I kept my eyes closed, but
Okay.
got through it and my parents were in the room. And then once that was done, then you go into isolation. And you go into isolation because you have to take vodka baths, like literally, like that's what I wash my body with. And you're born again, essentially, right? So you can't be around anyone, no
Yeah.
sickness. Like one nurse came in my hospital room like once a day.
Hmm.
They dropped the food at the door type thing. It was intense. And then you're free.
Carly, I like I don't even know, like you are so strong. I would probably have crumbled. Like what was your mental, like I know you said you're like once I make a decision, I go. Like it's do or die. Like
Yeah.
emotionally, obviously so many physical things are happening to your body. So your body is being just put through so much. And like emotionally, what was happening for you? You're losing your hair at 30 years old, you know, and like, beautiful blonde strawberry blonde hair, and yeah, what was happening for you internally?
Luckily, hair grows back.
Hair does grow back.
So well, for most of us,
Yeah.
it grows back. Um, Honestly, I'm like trying to think. Like, I was okay, you know what did help me is
Hmm.
that I started a Facebook page and
Mm.
I videoed myself throughout
Yeah.
the entire journey because that's how I got there was watching other people's journeys. And so I thought it was my chance to give back. Even if one person joined my Facebook page and was like, this is amazing. I'm going to look into this because this is going to help me heal.
Hmm.
That's all I wanted to do. And so, to be honest, like that kept me positive.
Mm.
That kept me steady in my emotions because every day or every couple days, I would do videos and I would get on and I would discuss it. It was almost like my therapy. I read books. I actually, most of my friends,
Yeah.
I don't read a lot. I read a lot online, but I don't read a lot of books. That's
Yeah.
just, I don't know. I used to.
Yeah.
The season I'm in right now, I don't. So, anyways,
Yeah.
during that season, I did. I read the Joni Mitchell book. I read the Patti Smith book, but ultimately, I kind of knew I was only going to be there for 30
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
And like we've said before, like I don't know, I just did it.
Yeah.
I Sure it was emotional,
Yeah.
sure cutting my hair off. After I did it, I was like, oh God, like what is like what
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I don't know if I can swear,
Yeah.
um but honestly, it wasn't until I got home in the recovery at
Yeah.
home that I got like more in my head and more
Yeah.
emotional. Because again, like I was isolated for 10, 12 days in the hospital, but you're taken care of.
Yeah.
And then when you get home, you're also isolated for like 2 months or something like
Yeah.
that in my apartment with no visitors except for like maybe seeing them outside.
Yeah.
I was wearing wigs. It was way more on my mental health when
Yeah.
I got home than when I was there because I
Yeah.
knew like I had a job to do while I was there.
Yeah.
So that was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you got home, your brother took you home. I do remember seeing you a few times, but one time, maybe once or twice inside your home, we
Yeah.
had to, masks. It's your newborn baby, right? And we've all been out in the world. And yeah, so how long did you have to be at home for and like isolate yourself?
Yeah, I think it was 1 to 3 months. Like it was
Okay.
definitely more than 1 month. It must have
Yeah.
been 3 months. Um, I remember I rented an elliptical machine. Like I just looked out my window. I watched a lot of TV.
Yeah.
I moved. It was actually funny. Like that was the time I hadn't had a TV ever in any of my apartments. And finally I was like, I'm getting a TV and it's in my bedroom. And I
Yeah.
haven't not had a TV ever since that time. Um, yeah, yeah. So like 3 months. Obviously I would go for walks and see friends a little bit here and there. But yeah,
And when
main
did you start to see your symptoms dissipate?
Oh man. So the thing about HSCT, which is
Yeah.
very important to know, is that it's not a cure. So,
Okay.
whatever damage that's been done, there's no guarantee that that damage will be repaired. So, I think that's really important to know is like what it kind of promises in a way to do is stop your MS in its tracks. And also, if you look into HSCT, they're also treating chronic fatigue. They're
Interesting.
starting to do like a bunch of other autoimmune diseases. So, Crohn's disease, I believe. But anyways, so I would still get symptoms like
Mhm.
tingling, fogginess in my eye if I got stressed or worked out.
Mm.
Um, and these are all things like I still all have the symptoms that I had prior to HSCT, although some of them are less and better. Um, I still have them. Those don't go away. So the
Okay.
damage has already been done.
Okay.
Actually, one MRI I've had since HSCT has shown that there has been some repair,
Mhm.
but not really. Like, I don't know what it is that will ever repair my myelin sheath, if anybody has any answers out there.
So are you, I know you do get constant checkups.
Mhm.
So is there a world that you feel like if it was to progress, what would you do? How do you feel living with that?
Yeah.
Knowing, okay, it could come back. It could
Yeah.
not, because if it's always with you, it's there. But you know,
Yeah, technically on my death certificate, it's probably going to say I died from MS, right? I feel like a lot of people who are diagnosed with things like MS and or
hmm,
will probably have that, even though I've personally been in remission for 8+ years now, which is yay, incredible.
yay. Yeah.
Ever since HSCT. But yeah, I feel like sometimes, oh, if I have a glass of wine, I'm like kicking myself. I'm like,
Mm,
I don't think I should put like toxic load in my body. I always have that. I
mm,
try to choose like all natural items and ingredients in our house because yeah, I'm still a little paranoid. I'm not
of
gonna
course.
lie. Like I changed my lifestyle for 4 years. I've definitely become a little more lenient after
Mhm.
HSCT. And sometimes I'm like in the back of my head, I'm like, oh God, like because I don't know the root cause, like what
Yeah.
is it? Could
Yeah.
this reignite again? So
Yeah.
yeah, and I think a lot of people with autoimmune disease and other diseases probably feel the same way when they get some remission. Like they don't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
We don't want to screw it
Yeah.
up again. Um, but I have thought about what I would do, which is one, I would reconsider HSCT again. So you can do it 2 times.
Okay. I was gonna ask. Yeah.
And then I do have a plan with my neurologist. Obviously, with MS now, from where I first got diagnosed, there's a lot of different treatments that were not on the table, and some have even been removed. Something like Limtrada, like they're not really offering anymore.
Okay.
And so there's something called Rituximab out there that's been discussed. So yeah, like, and I'm that type of person. I'm not afraid to talk about a plan if something's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I would rather know and keep updated on like what's the latest and greatest that could work for me.
Yeah.
And they were able right away. So I feel like, in the MS community and the medical community, I feel like MS has come a long way in the past like 14 years
Yeah.
or 10 years, or I forget how many years that I've been a part of it. But, the fact that my neurologist, who I switch, by the way, always advocate and follow your gut on your doctor because it's okay to switch doctors.
Mhm.
Um, he was able to tell me right away, like, this is what you would do if something happened. I'm not afraid of that. I would rather know than not know. I don't know
Totally.
if it's like
Knowledge
that.
is power, right? It's better than sticking your head in the sand.
Totally.
Um, okay. How have how has having this diagnosis changed how you show up for yourself and your relationships, your family, your friends, your work?
Yeah.
Of course, you just mentioned those thoughts about having a glass of wine and like not beating yourself up, but how have like you changed internally through
Hmm.
going through something like this?
Yeah. I mean, even with that question, actually, that's a really good question. And it does link kind of to the root cause question,
Mm.
just because I feel like I'm able to handle my stress a lot better than
Hmm.
I used. And that's because I feel like after every stressful event, if I wasn't able to handle my emotions, like maybe I would get a relapse.
Mm.
And so since HSCT, I've just been really concentrated on stress. I've gone through a lot of stressful events
Mm-hmm.
lately,
Mm-hmm.
death and family members and things. And I literally tell myself, like, you can have a couple days of crying, but like you need to control like your stress, your anxiety, because like it's not worth the risk for you too to go down.
Yeah.
Um, so that's been major. I feel like that's one thing that I think changed from before. I feel like I didn't even, if I was stressed, I would still go out partying or whatever, and I would do so many things that were, toxic in my body. Every so often now I'll do detoxes. I'll drink charcoal, or, now I have a bunch of tools in my toolbox that I'll just kind of like throw in.
Yeah.
I rotate my supplements. I don't take everything the same every day.
Mhm.
And that's something I've just learned over time. from various different people. Now I know what kind of works for me, like glutathione and ALA drips.
Yeah.
They worked for me before MS and they still work
Mhm.
if I'm feeling really low. So I just feel like I've learned so much about what I did before versus how I handle things after that I'm always, even though I've been in remission, it's always top of mind
Yeah,
because obviously I don't want to go back there.
of
So
course.
I don't take it lightly.
No,
And it's a part of my daily life, but it's not. It's a part of my daily life in my brain. But I don't really make it a part of like my family, friends' daily life
yeah,
because, um, yeah, unless somebody wants to know something, I'm happy to chat. But I feel like I don't want to just make it a focus point because I made it a focus point for so many years.
I
And
hear that.
I'm just so grateful for my journey and yeah, and being able to be where I'm at.
Well, it's not your identity, you know?
Hmm.
I feel like especially even with those I mean Facebook group pages, I had this when I started the podcast. I was like, do I always want to talk about health? I was like, it's such a huge part of like also what we enjoy because we're always trying natural new things. And I was like, but I also love so many more things. I don't want to just be identified by a stomach ache or going through long COVID or whatever I'm trying to figure out. And so,
But it's hard when you're in it and like you've
yeah,
been in it, like I've been there.
yeah,
And when you're in it, it is hard because like it is affecting you every day. So it's
yeah.
really hard to ignore and like friends and family see it and obviously want to help, but then they don't know how to help and they don't know
Totally.
what should I be not asking her about it? Should I be asking her about it? So I mean, I've been there. I
Yeah,
I know. And sometimes I feel like, people want to talk about these things more, but they don't. But I mean, as long as I'm helping someone, like obviously I would want to talk about it. And I
totally.
love talking about healthy things,
I
grocery stores,
know.
the latest trends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, man, I could pick your brain forever on this, but we're running out of time.
Oh,
Now,
how has it been an hour?
I know, I know. It's almost, yeah, we've got a couple more minutes. Um, I wanted to ask you for those who are watching who might have an MS diagnosis or something similar, or they're on their journey, what are your words of advice for them?
Mhm. Um, Always, your close circle has to support in what your decisions are. At the end of the day, it's your body, so you're going to know what is best, what's going to feel best, and you really have to have people that are going to trust in that, but at the same time, you want to be able to trust others. Whether that's your medical professionals in your circle or your family and friends who obviously just love you and are trying to support you, just handle it as best as you can with grace. It can be so stressful. Take a minute to yourself, but come back and just be just super honest and truthful and have those conversations. And then, yeah, I think just being proactive, be proactive, whether that's with your doctor, Western medicine, naturopath,
Mhm.
whoever it is, just be proactive and do some research, and you never know what you're going to find.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I have some rapid fire gut feeling questions for you. Okay, are you a sweet or salty girl?
I'm both. I have to have a little sweet and then like a hit of salty.
Okay. Okay, so you're both. What is
Yes.
your go-to comfort food when your tummy hurts?
Oh, I mean, probably tea. Yeah,
What kind of
probably
tea?
herbal tea. I don't really try to drink a lot of caffeine,
Right.
except for matcha.
Um, what's the most chaotic thing you've done in the name of gut health or health in general?
Well, probably HSCT.
Yeah.
That wasn't for gut health, but
Yeah.
definitely health.
Yes.
And for gut health, I don't think I have anything crazy. Just like binders, like
Yep.
getting rid of
Yep.
things at home, enemas at home.
Yeah, I was gonna say you did enemas too,
Yeah,
right?
no colonics, but I've done
Okay.
enemas.
Enemas.
Yeah, yeah.
One food your tummy hates but your soul loves.
Oh, chips and French fries. Easy.
What makes your tummy hurt emotionally?
Oh, longing for something.
Hmm,
I feel like longing. Um, what makes it hurt? Yeah, and probably a little anxiety. I think
for sure.
I don't
The
know
two are
what it would
linked.
be, but yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I definitely feel like I get like, yeah, if I'm longing for something, I feel that
Okay.
emotional.
And
Yeah.
what heals it?
Conversation, friendship, love you. Um, yeah, conversation,
Connection.
friendship, love.
Well, thank you. Where is there anything else you want to say or anything we didn't touch on?
I mean, I'd love to come back.
Yes. Yes, we would
I feel like
love to have you
more
back.
I could say. Um, I'm just so grateful for you and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm so, so happy you could be here and share your knowledge and your sunshine with everyone. And where can we find you? What's your social?
Yes. My Instagram is private right now, but
Okay.
technically Sea to Sky Mama.
Okay.
Write it out, sea to skymama.com. I still have my website up. I have like an MS story on there partially.
Okay.
TikTok, I'm Sea to Sky Mama. And also you can find me on Facebook,
Okay.
Reborn in Russia, if anybody is interested in just like seeing the journey. It's a private page, but I can always add anybody that signs on.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Love you so much.
Love you. That was great.